Hammer of Wrath baseline once again, Wake of Ashes baseline, popular Azurite traits becoming talents, more buttons to press, sure, but hey, if you wonder how Red Paladin currently feels on the Shadowlands Alpha, then stick around until the end as we cover all the abilities, talents, Covenant abilities, dungeon performance, and DPS in the latest build of the Alpha. Now, before getting into the meat of things, we need a big-ass disclaimer on 1. This is early alpha, nothing here is final. 2. There is a lot of input lag, all classes feel clunky as fuck. On top of that, 3. Haste levels right now are very low, so that with the GCD change from BFA carried over makes almost all classes low. And also, you're a legend if you click on the like button and throw a comment. Right, now that we got that out the way, let's have you first take a look at what abilities are baseline for all paladins and what you will have available for red as well. First thing we get back are auras. Crusader aura is our former passive, well, still is in BFA, and it's really good as it can now benefit your party, getting a 20% increased mount speed for all party members within 40 yards. You can see good value for this in Mythic Plus scenarios and outdoor questing. Devotion aura will provide 3% damage reduction to your party as long as they are, again, within 40 yards. Now, you probably know the Devotion aura talent from Holy, which had a 10% damage reduction split between party members with a cap of 3% once above 6 party members. So this is more or less that, and it will see very good value in both raids and dungeons. I mean, who wouldn't want a permanent 3% damage reduction? And up next, a personal favorite of mine, as it used to be one of the very few reasons people would play with Reds in PvP back in the day. Concentration aura means 30% lower duration on interrupts and silences, and that is a godsend for your healers. Sure, you wouldn't see too much out of this in raids and maybe free appliances in dungeons depending on mechanics, but the real star will be surely PvP if the value remains the same. Remember, you can switch around these auras with no restrictions apart from the GCD, so you would start an arena game in Devotion aura, and if things go left and your healer needs to throw in some big casts, you can switch to Concentration aura, and even if he gets kicked, the duration will be 30% shorter. This was really good in previous expansions, but currently feels clunky with the GCD changes, so maybe Blizzard can at least take the auras out of the GCD. I don't see any point on keeping them here, so there. First directed feedback, Blizz. GCD should not impact the auras as they are designed to be changed depending on the situation, right? And now for the first letdown of the improving, our last aura, the Retribution aura. This is hardly even an aura. I mean, an aura by definition should affect folks around you. This will give you 8 seconds of wings once someone in your group dies. I can see it being good in your first stages of progression, sure, but it fades away quickly after your 3rd or 4th week as hardly anyone dies anymore. Not to mention the whole philosophy around this is based on party members dying. Like, don't you want them to live? It's more or less reminiscent of our passive, which was and still is one of the worst passives in the game. Sure, you would understand the fantasy. Your party member died and you avenged them with your retribution, gaining a 20% boost to your damage, or the 8 seconds of avenging rat as it currently is in the aura. But reality is, as I stated earlier, having a full-on party member die, let's say a Destro Lock or Assassination Rogue, the amount of DPS loss for the party when that whole toolkit dies in comparison to your 8 seconds of wings is just, I mean, you get me, right? Next addition is the beloved Blessing of Sacrifice. Yes, this is making a return, and it will be a very useful tool for you as it will transfer 30% of the damage taken from the targeted player directly to you, and you take only 75% of that transfer damage, but with a stop mechanic once you hit 20% of your total HP. It's not designed to kill you, but rather play even more off your hybrid, or should I say supportive role. The effect is on a 2-minute cooldown and it will last 12 seconds or until you get to 20% HP as mentioned earlier, so tanks and healers alike will love you for this one. Another returning as a baseline is Hammer of Wrath. Reds have been asking for this for a while now, and lo and behold, it is here. Granted, all Paladin specs have it, but still very useful in the red arsenal. Now, the first thing to note here is that yes, it is usable on targets that are under 20%, and you can also use it during wings, but only after you hit level 58. Just remember that. Next up, we have another letdown, World of Glory. This has become baseline, but in its older form, meaning that the heal is now targeted, single target, no more AoE. This on top of the fact that the amount of heal is just laughable, hardly any motivation to consume your holy power in order to press this. It's a big nerf, as the former World of Glory talent was super powerful in dungeons and it would save your party in a lot of scary situations. We also get Consecration back, which, to be fair, it was barely used as a talent, and sure, you can argue that is thematic for paladins, but really right now on the alpha, it does a very low amount of damage and it really isn't worth the GCD. You'll probably want to press this once there is nothing else to press. Hoping for more on this side. And the cherry on the top, red exclusive baseline, Wake of Ashes is now baseline. Excellent change, no doubt, but do keep in mind, it is changed a bit. You no longer generate 5 holy powers, but 3 holy powers, and the damage is lowered to secondary targets. This on the exchange of its overall damage getting buffed. You might think it's weaker now that it does less damage to secondary targets, but really it feels fine, and it is in line with the new AoE capping Blizzard is implementing across the board. Worth mentioning that we have lost our blessings. Blessing of Kings, which was pretty bad, not gonna miss that one, and Blessing of Wisdom, which was pretty useful for healers, but at this point, us getting Sacrifice back is all worthwhile losing those. You're probably watching this thinking, hey, Hammer of Wrath, World of Glory, these are talents in BFA. What do we get in exchange for those? And I say, shit, no, we're getting to talents in a second, because we still have like Sense Undead, which is a flavorish paladin ability, Turn Evil, which will fear demons and undeads, could be quite useful in PvP against Lichborn Decays and Warlock in Decay pets, and of course, Shield of the Righteous, which will require you to equip a one-hander and a shield, not a big issue since you can macro the equip with the cast. This will be very good defensive-wise, as it will provide you with a good chunk of armor, and it will be surely useful to help your tank with a taunt if he's in trouble. You hit this and you don't die. Now, let's get into the Covenants! So far, you can only look at 2 of the 4 Covenant abilities, at least in the latest build of the alpha. The first one is Divine Toll, and you get this one from the Kyrians. It has a 1-minute cooldown, and upon activation, it will launch 5 judgments on up to 5 targets in 30 yards. This will also apply your judgment debuff on all of those targets, so yay for more Divine Storm damage. The second one comes from the Ventir and is called Ashen Hollow, which currently feels really underwhelming. First off, this is a big-ass blood-themed consecration that deals moderate shadow damage. Shadow damage as a paladin. Okay, I guess you can go with that to fit the Ventir team, I guess. Apart from the AoE shadow damage, it also heals the party members that stay in it. Now, both the damage and the heals are really low at this point, and the fact that it comes with a whooping 4-minute cooldown just cannot compare to Divine Toll from the Kyrians. There is tuning to be done for sure, and this one has to really provide big numbers in order to justify the big cooldown. Oh, and it also grants you the benefits of Consecration, which for it is nothing, but I guess they designed this while also keeping Prod in mind. So far, Divine Toll takes the cake for Covenants, but you'll be getting updates to this as soon as we have them. Now, let's look at the talents! The first row is unchanged. You have the same Zeal, Righteous Verdict, and Execution Sentence, so we're not lingering too much over here now. The second row, however, used to have Hammer of Wrath, but now it is replaced with Empyrean Power. Yes, the Azerite trait from BFA that you take for Mythic Plus is becoming a talent, competing with the same Fires of Justice and Blade of Wrath. It definitely feels the strongest pick for the moment, as it will proc 3 Divine Storms with a considerable proc rate too. The CC row is also untouched. Same thing for the next row. Now here we have new shit. This row tends to give you burst options, with Divine Purpose being moved here. working exactly as in BFA, but yo, we're getting Holy Avenger back. This will triple your holy power generation, meaning when you hit a Crusader strike, you get 3 holy powers. You hit a Judgment, you get 3 holy powers. You get the idea. Now, this can work really well with Crusade, which we'll get to in a second, because more holy power equals more frequent holy power spenders, thus adding value to the haste and damage buff from Crusade. The biggest issue for Holy Avenger, it is the 3-minute cooldown, which is quite frustrating because you cannot really align it with wings. Maybe they'll reconsider this. Also, on this bro, another comeback is from Seraphim. This will give you a good chunk of mastery, crit, haste, and versatility for 12 seconds at the cost of 3 holy powers. On paper, it does look good, but both Holy Avenger and Seraphim would work great with all the options from the last talent tier if it wasn't for the goddamn GCD changes. It's super clunky to have to pop Holy Avenger, then Wings on top of all the GCDs from their openers and priority rotations. We'll definitely come back with updates on this. Next bro retains Selfless Healer and Justicar Vengeance with no changes to them, but we get a new talent to replace Word of Glory, and that is Healing Hands. This is a brand new talent altogether, and it will incentivize you to use Lay on Hands properly. Okay, you kind of always used it when a party member dropped below 30%, but using this talent, if you do that, the CD for it is going to be reduced by 50%. You can see some value out of this in raids and possibly even in higher keys, as you would also pick Unbreakable Spirit. That will provide you with 7 minutes cooldown on your Lay on Hands already. Use it on your tank or whatever when he's under 30% HP, and boom, it's a 3.5 minute cooldown. Now that's a strong cooldown. Hey, better than the Vector Covenant ability. Now for the last bro, we get a new talent, which is a null talent, at least by name, but works as a former trait, and it's Sanctified Breath. You know the effect of this talent from the Light's Decree Azerite trait. It prolongs your wings to 25 seconds, and every holy power spender will deal a mini burst of AoE. So far, the AoE damage in dungeons seems a bit low when compared to BFA, but this can change in time with gear, soulbinds, and maybe legendaries. Crusade remains the same, Inquisition remains the same also. You made it through here? What a legend! So, to be fair, you'd be right to say Red didn't have any major issues in both Legion and BFA, and all the changes didn't really impact the spec in a negative way. It's great to have Hammer of Wrath and Wake of Ashes baseline while providing even more utility through Blessing of Sacrifice and the Auras. The talent changes feel overall good too, and the feel of the class is more or less the same. You can be sure it has the better end of the stick when it comes to the so-called reworks. I mean, think of how Feral is currently looking in the alpha. Sure, we need a better passive and a better aura to replace the Retribution one. We need some GCD changes, at least for auras, and some specific talents such as Holy Avenger or Seraphim, and personally, at least for PvP, some sort of talent or CC trade-off would work wonders for some extra mobility. Judging by this alpha build right now with crap gear, no soulbinds, and no legendaries, Red Paladin feels strong. How it will be in the first patch of Shadowlands, first Mythic Dungeons raid? It's too early to tell, but so far so good. I for one will main Red Paladin first, then move to Rogue and Priest, so you can be sure more update videos will be made as soon as new stuff is added, removed, or changed. Now, these videos couldn't be made possible without the support from our lovely Patreons, which we are ever grateful for, and you can rely on us for more class previews coming very shortly, on top of our 8.3 class guides, weekly WoW news shows, and daily streams. See, that is what you are supporting, dear Patreon. Details for Patreon, Discord, stream, merch are all in the description, so go ahead and check them out. You're surely gonna find something you like. Thank you for watching, stay safe and healthy, and see you soon.